have to know, did you say you're full of malarkey, like once a day?
Exactly, I did.
Okay, good.
You want the American dream. You want the life, the liberty, the happiness. But until you get there, until you achieve your goals and make your dreams come true, you know what you have. You have the journey, the hustle, the climb. I'm Kelsey Humphreys, and this is The Pursuit.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Pursuit. Now, if you'll review with me my week, I started out speaking to engineers in Silicon Valley, and then we moved on to an interview with a fashionista, and then a professional trainer, former fitness model, and then today a former professional athlete. So ask me if I am intimidated. I know you can't really ask me because it's a one-way conversation, but the answer is yes. Today we are in LA, and if you ever wondered why the movie industry ended up happening in LA, it's because everyone left the East Coast where Thomas Edison was. Apparently Thomas Edison had all of these patents on the equipment and materials and intellectual property, and so all of the filmmakers flew to the West and fled so that they didn't have to step all over his property. So either they were like hustlers and really entrepreneurial, or maybe criminals. You decide. But it was obviously a good decision because the economy here, if it were a country, is bigger than the economy of all of Saudi Arabia. And so clearly they're doing something right. And part of that awesome economy can be thanks to today's guest, Lewis Howes. Lewis Howes is an online marketing expert, sought-after business coach, author, podcaster, and lifestyle entrepreneur, a former pro football player, collegiate football record holder, two-sport All-American, and current national U.S. men's handball team member. He is the host of what I'm sure you guys have heard of, the School of Greatness podcast, which has been downloaded by over 7 million people since its iTunes launch not that long ago, you guys. It receives 800,000 downloads per month, and he was recognized in 2003 at the White House in a ceremony by President Obama as one of the top 10 entrepreneurs in the country under 30. What? In addition to all of that, if that wasn't enough, he is also an angel investor and an advisor to startups, and he has built a multi-million-dollar online business and been named by Details magazine as one of the 5 internet gurus who can make you rich. Holy cow, that is one heck of a bio. Thank you so much for letting us come to your house and chat today.
Thanks for coming, I appreciate it.
Okay, so I want to go back. You were a professional football player and then you had an injury, right? So tell everyone your story kind of at the beginning before the entrepreneurial part.
My whole dream was to play pro sports and get paid to hit other men. And I fulfilled that dream, but it quickly ended when I got injured during a game. I was diving to catch a football and broke my wrist in a game. Had to have surgery right after that and was on my sister's couch for the next year and a half with a full arm cast on for 6 months, recovering during that time. And I was really just trying to figure out what the next transition was for me, what I was going to do next in my life. You know, I didn't graduate college at the time yet. I left early. So I didn't know what to do. My dream was over, and I didn't have a backup plan in college. It was just to go play football, and then we'll see what happens. And I had to find out what was going to happen next pretty quickly. During that time, I was really reaching out to a lot of mentors and family members to ask them, you know, what do they do to become so successful, and how do they get to where they are? And I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, which you said you first found out about.
Yeah,
me through
years
LinkedIn.
ago.
I spent a lot of my time using LinkedIn, connecting with people, finding out how to optimize it for my own self, and then showing other people how to use it to find a job, get leads for their business, things like that. One thing led to another. I started building a presence around that topic and teaching other people how to use LinkedIn, built a business around that, and it's grown from there.
So that was really your first business, but when you were on LinkedIn, were you using it to like get speaking engagements or what?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I was trying to figure out every way I could to make $1.
Okay.
It didn't matter what I was doing. I hosted LinkedIn events. I was doing one-on-one profile makeovers for people who wanted a makeover on LinkedIn. I wrote a book about it. I started doing local events where I would speak and do workshops. I started doing webinars, creating online courses. Anything I could do to make money around that expertise that I had built up, that's what I was doing. I was also connecting with people to find out about potential job opportunities or just leveraging business deals. I was putting a lot of people together taking commissions from those deals. Yeah.
Oh.
So I was, again, figuring out everything from scratch, watching what other successful people were doing,
Right.
and was like, how can I make money doing this?
Yeah.
It's one expertise.
Now, when you were doing this is so great, I think, because I know there's a lot of people out there who are like maybe a musician, or like, for me, I'm a graphic designer. That was what I was trained to do. Now I have a traveling talk show about entrepreneurship. You know, so when you were an athlete who suddenly transitions to LinkedIn, how did you sell people on like, no, I know LinkedIn, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think originally people started coming to me.
Okay.
So they saw my profile and they would connect with me. They would say, how did you make your profile look this good?
Cool.
Again, because I spent like months and months
Right.
on one page.
Yeah.
So I was able to take the best that I saw from other profiles and use it and apply it to my own. So I kind of created like a little system that I could show other people how to use it. So they would come to me and say, hey, can you help me? And when they would say that, I would say, yeah, here are my rates, or here's what I can offer you with.
Cool. Okay.
And that's kind of how it began.
So let's talk about the first product, the LinkedIn, was it LinkedIn Influence?
LinkedIn Influence, yeah.
Okay, so what were your strategies? Because a lot of people can, you know, just have a great idea and work on and begin coaching, because that's kind of what you did. Like, you did something and then you coached other people how to do it. But all of those people, like most of them, still fail in the first year or the first 2 years.
Yeah.
So what would you say was the key to your success to keep momentum going in the beginning?
I mean, I was so broke and so desperate that,
Right.
and living on my sister's couch just made me feel like I was willing to do whatever it took to get off that. So I had like a goal of being able to get my own apartment.
Okay.
That was my initial goal. Then it was to make, you know, $5,000 a month, then $10,000 a month.
Wow.
So for me, I was just so committed to my vision that it didn't matter if I was failing at any time. I was committed to the result, to my vision, to having a better life for myself. And in the process, I was willing to do whatever it took to add value to more people so that I could make an income.
Right. So did you have a strategy once you built it and they came?
Yeah.
What was your strategy after that?
You know, I had no clue what I was doing in business. I was just trying to figure it out and figure out how to make more money to have a better life, really. So I was just asking people, you know, what are your biggest challenges? What is it that you want next? And they would say, you know, I have no clue how to use Facebook, or I have no clue about how to build a website or online marketing or email marketing. So I said, okay, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to teach it to you. And so I was just trying to ask questions, see what people's biggest challenges were. During the time, it was LinkedIn. No one knew how to use LinkedIn.
Right.
They all knew they had to get on it, but then no one knew how to use it. They were using Twitter and Facebook, but they didn't understand it. So I just kept asking, what is your biggest challenge? What do you really need in your business, in your life, in your health, whatever it may be? And I realized that if I could solve people's questions and answer them for them through training, through whatever it may be, or help them achieve whatever their biggest challenge was,
Right.
I could monetize that.
Talk us through, now LinkedIn Influence was the first one, and now, you know, most people find you now, I think, from the podcast.
Yeah.
So what were all the steps between that and the podcast?
Yeah, so I built up this nice business. It was doing 7 figures a year. I had a business partner. We had multiple products, educational courses online, teaching LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and blogging and social media training courses. And I loved it because it was something that I was really passionate about to start, and it got me my start and my credibility. But then I just got tired of talking about LinkedIn all day. You know, for me,
Right.
I'd spoken about it so much, there was nothing new or creative to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm a very creative person. I need to, you know, express myself in different ways. As an athlete, I'm creative. Every play is a different play. What I really loved doing throughout this process of using LinkedIn, what I did is I was connecting with people one at a time and interviewing them essentially, asking them about how they got to where they are, what their biggest challenges are, and I was learning some incredible information from people from all walks of life. And this information I didn't feel like other people knew. And people would always ask me, how are you doing this? How are things happening? And I was saying, well, I was learning this information while interviewing some of the brightest minds in the sports industry, in the business industry, in the health industry, whatever it may be. And so the School of Greatness came about. I was like, you know, this podcasting world is picking up, and I had a couple friends who were doing a podcast. And I said, if they can do it, I can do it. And I'm going to make it unique and different, and I'm going to create the podcast that I would want to listen to.
That's awesome. I want to get back to the podcast for sure, but I want to go back because you kind of just glossed over the part where you had a business partner and this giant business. So when did you get a business partner? How did you choose a business partner?
Sure.
What happened with that?
For me, that was early on. I was working in a co-working space, and there was another guy named Sean Malarkey who was working probably 20 feet away from me in the same space, and I kept hearing about this guy's name, who was big on Twitter at the time. This is back in 2009 or something like that, early 2009. And I didn't know who he was, but I realized that like a month later, he was actually in the same room as me, working the whole time.
That's funny.
So we ended up meeting through mutual friends, and we decided to do a webinar together, talking about LinkedIn and Twitter, because he had some Twitter trainings, I had a LinkedIn training.
Okay.
So it was a natural fit for us to do these webinars together. We sold our products together. Then we realized that people were just loving the information, and sales kept coming in. Every time we do one together, they just kept coming in like crazy. So we said, let's just do a company together. We'll start creating these courses and go from there. And I just sold that to him about a year and a half ago, and I've been doing my own thing now. And
I have to know, did you say you're full of malarkey, like once a day?
exactly, I did.
Okay, good. As that, you just have to. Okay, so let's move on to the podcast. Did you decide like that's going to be your new focus as your business, or do you have business aside from like you speak and consult still, or what?
Yeah.
So the podcast isn't your total business.
You know, my podcast started as just a dream that I wanted to create for myself to inspire an audience and build a brand around something very inspirational. I had no clue that it would take off the way it did. I was just like, I'm going to commit to doing this once a week and see where it goes, because I thought it would be inspiring for me to learn
Right.
from people. It was a selfish reason.
Right, which may or may not be why I'm here today.
Right.
Yeah, keep
And
going.
so it took off like instantly. iTunes hit me up within the first 30 or 60 days and said, we want to feature you on the homepage. We love this content. This is exactly what we want. And so they've promoted it a number of times on the homepage. You know, authors would reach out to me early on and say, can I come on your show? It was just like this incredible, I don't even know, just playground of ideas being thrown around and played with, that I could ask questions, learn to grow myself as an interviewer, because I'm still growing. But then I realized that I could monetize it, because this community was growing, and they said, hey, we want more information on greatness.
Yeah.
We want to become great in our businesses and our lives. So they were just demanding that I create content, courses, and other programs to support them. And I would ask them, what's your biggest challenge? What is it you need right now? And they would tell me, and then I've started creating courses around it. I've got a magazine coming out called Greatness Magazine that's supporting the podcast. I've got a School of Greatness Academy. I've got School of Greatness, the book, coming out in October. So I'm creating these materials based on this vision of the podcast.
Now, how big did you already have a substantial? Like, didn't you already have a substantial following before the launch of the podcast?
Yeah, but I sold my company to my business partner, so he had, you know, my entire email list through that company. I had my social media following, and then probably like, I don't know, 20,000 person email list on my website. But since then, it's grown significantly from the podcast following, from my email list, my personal email list, and my following all over social media.
Yeah, I mean, 800,000 listeners. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So multiple times you've grown something, you know, kind of from the very beginning. Can you talk a little bit about hiring? Like, when did you decide I've got to have some people? And
Yeah, I first hired for an assistant, because I realized that I was spending about 3 hours a day of things that I didn't feel like I needed to be doing.
Preach.
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
things that I
we've all
was
been
doing.
there, yeah.
Things that I was doing, but it was just kind of time where I knew that I could charge for an hour rate. I could charge, you know, $5,000 or $10,000 for consulting. It wasn't worth me booking a flight for 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or even making my meals, or even whatever, scheduling things, reading books to do interviews. Like, it wasn't worth me doing if I could use that time in better use to build my business, to make money, as opposed to operational things that didn't, you know, that weren't as valuable. And so I hired an assistant a couple years ago, and it changed my life. You met her. She's incredible. She sets everything up for me. She is essentially my life manager.
Yeah.
And so she makes my life easier and does all the things that I don't want to do so that I can be creative. But I think the more I've interviewed some incredible people that know how to hire, and the more I've learned myself from mistakes for a lot of money, is to really take the time to find the right person, and don't just make a rush at anything. Really, even when you think they're the right person, you know, really interview them a few more times, have other people interview them, make sure they're connected to your vision, They're what you want for long term.
Right. So do you still have like a chef, and like, do you still outsource all those things?
Yes, my assistant cooks all my meals.
Really?
Yes.
So Sarah, she does
Yes.
all of that.
Everything.
How
She's
does
super
one
woman.
find a Sarah? I'm not.
All my
kidding,
friends
like,
ask me this. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
You just got lucky.
I think you got to get really clear on your intention. Like, I was so clear on my intention. I was like, I want someone who can do these things, and I just list them out. And there's got to be someone out there who can do that. And I would tell that to everyone. I said this to everyone. Here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a person who can do this, 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 and this. And my chiropractor, actually, who was working on me a couple times a week when I was doing handball training, she said, I think I've got the perfect person, a good friend of mine, but she lives in Utah. And I said, get me on the phone with her. And she ended up moving out here to work for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I've been very blessed, yeah.
So what, now that you have her, which sounds like every entrepreneur's dream come true, I'm so jealous. What is your average day like? What do you spend your time doing?
I've got a lot of different projects happening all at the same time, and things in the pipeline. So I've got, a book coming out later this year. So I'm back and forth with the publisher. I'm writing, I'm editing, I'm marketing, I'm doing deals for book sales. I've got different products I'm launching. I've got a magazine I'm launching. So it's a lot of it is working with my team, managing my schedule. I'm doing about 3 to 6 interviews a week for my show to really get ahead. Then I'm doing other interviews for people's shows. And then it's finding time every single day to meditate, to work out, to eat healthy, to have some me time. And in between, it's really driving forward my vision, which is to serve 100 million people.
100 million people, that's
Yeah.
cool. Now, actually, let's go back because you talked about mentors a little bit. Who did you learn from, especially at the beginning? Because I think when you're a young entrepreneur or just a rookie, it can be hard to find, mentors and to reach
Sure.
out to them. So who did you have in your life and how did you find them?
I have so many mentors right now, but early on I had a few different people. One was the former headmaster of my university that I went to, who I just really felt a strong connection with and believed in his integrity and everything he's created in life. So he really mentored me in business and decision making. I had an invention that I created early on, and I met this famous inventor, and I hounded him for months to give me advice on how to take this product to market. And he eventually brought me under his wing for about a year and a half, and taught me everything about inventing and marketing products and branding and design and licensing and manufacturing for about a year and a half, because I was so persistent and hounded him.
So you say reached out to him. Did you just email him, or find his phone number, or?
Yeah, one I connected through my school, who I had already met a few times. Another I met through Toastmasters. I heard him speak at a Toastmasters event that I was attending, and I just went up to him afterwards and said, I'd love to learn more from you. And then the third one I met through my girlfriend at the time. I said, I've got this product. I'm trying to find an inventor who can help me take it to the next level. And I was telling everyone who I wanted to meet, and she said, I know the person for you. So I think a lot of people just don't voice what they want. If you want an assistant, I'm like voicing, here's what I want, and I'm telling everyone.
Okay.
Even when I don't think they may not know someone, I'm still telling people, here's my vision, here's what I'm creating, to allow other people to support me in that vision.
Yeah, that's really smart. And I think a lot of a lot of beginners don't want to seem pushy, so they don't ask the questions, they don't reach out. So that's great advice.
Sure.
So let's imagine, I'm sure you get a lot of requests for you to be someone's mentor. Someone wants you to mentor them, and obviously you don't have the time. So what are your biggest mistakes? If you could sit down with that person who's just starting out, whether they're starting a podcast or a business, what were your biggest mistakes? What should they avoid?
Well, I think first it's getting clear on what you want, and having a clear goal. Because a lot of people just say, well, I want to make money, but that's not clear for me. How much do you want to make and by when? So I was like, I want to make $1,000 a month by this month.
Right.
When I was broke on my sister's couch. Because I thought at least that would be a step in the right direction. And I had no clue how to make $1,000. So I think getting clear on what you want and then being very detailed of when you want that by. So that you can start reverse engineering how to make it happen the days you have. The second thing what I would say is you need to figure out a way to give so much value to other people that they feel like they have to do something for you in return. So don't ask for them for anything in return, but just give and give and give. and that be your intention, people are going to say, hey, how can I help you out?
Yeah.
So never, I ask for help sometimes, but I'm really more reaching out to people and saying, how can I help you? A majority of the time. And then every now and then I'll ask for a favor, like, hey, can you promote my book? Once in 7 years, I'll say, hey, can you do this for me?
Right.
But every other time, it's, how can I support you? What's your biggest challenge? What are your needs? If I can't help you, how can I connect you to the person that can help you? And that's what I did early on, because I didn't have any skills or talents or an audience, but I was able to connect them with other people I knew that could help them. And being the champion of someone's network is a really powerful thing. When you're the connector, you become that champion that they always refer back to as, hey, Lewis is the guy who connected us. Lewis is the guy that gave me this information. Lewis is the one that gave me the results.
Right.
And if they can always lean on you, then eventually you'll be able to monetize that in a creative way. It could be through a product or a service or a software, it doesn't matter, coaching. But finding a way to get clear on what you want, defining when you want it by, and then figuring out how you can support the maximum amount of people.
Awesome. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Well, tell us, like, what's next for you? What's your next big, I mean, you said you had a book coming out, but like, what's the next big thing here in the next month or two?
I've got a magazine coming out called Greatness Magazine.
Where
It'll
can
be
we
in
get that?
iTunes.
Oh,
it's
cool.
going to be digital only. It'll be in the iTunes newsstand. So
awesome.
this is going to be a monthly magazine, which a lot of people are saying I'm kind of crazy because no one else
I
has
feel like maybe
one.
you're crazy.
A little bit, but you know what? I'll tell you why I'm excited about it, because it's either going to do really well or it's going to fail.
Yeah.
But I'm not too worried about it either way. I'm going to learn a lot of great lessons, whatever happens. When I launched the podcast, there was only a few people really doing it well back in 2012, and I launched it in 2013. And I remember thinking, I believe that this is going to pick up, and that people are going to start listening to this more as iPhones continue to get bigger, and smartphones, and as it's getting into cars more. I was like, people are going to listen to podcasts. This is going to blow up. I had no clue when. And I didn't realize it would happen as fast as it did.
Yeah.
Then Serial came out.
Yeah,
and
which changed everything.
And it brought everyone to another level. I believe that digital magazines are the next podcast. And it may be a few years away, but so many people got into podcasts over the last 2 years that it's almost oversaturated. Everyone's got a show now. So it's become less interesting. But digital magazines, I feel like, are going to be the new and interesting thing for a number of years. And specifically in Europe and Asia, people are reading digital magazines more than they're listening to podcasts. So I'm trying to tap into a broader audience, bring them back into the podcast, into video content, into the blog, into the book, and create this circle.
I'm taking
of
so
connection.
many mental notes right now. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got to do all these things. Yeah, it's genius. I love it.
So we'll see. It's either going to be great or it could fail, but I'm excited to learn either way.
Yeah.
And I'm always up for new challenges. So I've got that. I've got a number of different products coming out, and then the School of Greatness book in October.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, before we go, I have to ask you, what are your favorite podcasts?
I really like Chalene Johnson's podcast. I like Tim Ferriss's show. I like Rich Roll. He's got a good podcast. And who else do I like? Pat Flynn's got a good podcast. Those are a few I like.
Cool. Going back to like people at the beginners, do you think if someone begins a podcast right now that it's too late for them? Or is there is it too saturated?
People still get in right now and they blow up and they find a niche and they have a different angle. If they already have an audience, it's even more. It's even easier to be successful if you already have an audience. See, Tim Ferriss joined a year ago, and he blew up right away to the top 10, top 20, and he's been staying there ever since. So if you've got the audience, you're great. If you don't have the audience, I'm not sure if podcasting is the thing to do, specifically if it's just an interview show for entrepreneurs or something like that where there's thousands of them already out there. If it's something unique, a specific topic that's in a specific niche, then it could be interesting. But it all depends what your goal is.
Well, I mean, you just gave us so much great knowledge, so thank you so much for letting us come today. When we come back, we are going to play a quick game, and he's going to announce his giveaway. So we will be back to play a quick game right after this. So much great information in my interview with Lewis, but here are my key takeaways. Number one, Lewis was all about making personal connections. He was reaching out to everyone he knew when he was at rock bottom trying to achieve the next level in his life. He was connecting other people to each other that he happened to know, serving as the go-between, and he was connecting to people online to become potential clients. So look around you and see in your community who you can connect with as a mentor, as a partner, as a potential client, as a potential supporter. Number 2, he was committed to his vision. He says it over and over again. He knew what he wanted, and he was committed to that next step, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. He was committed to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Are you committed to your dream like that? Because I think that was key to his success. Number 3, get crystal clear on what you want and share about it. You know, he found his amazing administrative assistant this way. He found his mentors this way. He changed his business again and again by being crystal clear on what he wanted to do next, what he was looking for, and sharing that with others. So get clear on what you really want, and then don't be afraid to tell other people about it. One thing that's interesting about sharing, he said it, quote, gave others the opportunity to be involved. People want to be involved in things bigger than themselves, so don't be afraid to share about what you're doing. And lastly, number 4, you have to really care about others. At his core, he wants to help other people do what he's done. He wants to teach other people what he's learned. He wants to help 100 million people. That's his goal. So at his core, he is committed to his audience. And you have to be committed to helping others as well. Last week, John Lee Dumas generously gave away 3 copies of his book, Podcast Launch. So congratulations to our winners, Robert Papajeski, Ashley Hernandez, and Jason Unger. Now, let's get back to the game and see what Lewis Howes is giving away this week.
Is this the phone game we put on the head and I have to
No,
like act
see,
out?
I don't think I can do that because
The
that's
Ellen
Ellen's
app.
game. I
So
think.
what? What do you can't do it? Is this another app?
Well, this is just this is like the
Okay.
catchphrase app. But do you think you can do Ellen's app
I don't
not
know how
on
you
her
do it.
show? I just
Yeah,
don't
you
want
can.
Ellen to call me and be like,
Fine. It's a promotion for a show.
all right, we're doing it. Here it is. Ellen, please don't sue me, okay? All right, get ready. Okay,
So I'm saying.
I'm guessing.
I
You're
can't
saying.
say the word.
Right.
She's a singer in the Black
Beyonce?
Eyed Peas.
Fergie.
Yes.
So you go down if you get it.
He just retired. One of the most famous soccer players in the world. Calvin Klein models.
Beckham?
Yes.
David Beckham. This couch is
He's an actor who talks about the Olsen twins in a skit and said he's going to live forever if he sleeps with both of them.
What? Pass.
He, Back to the Future actor.
Oh, Michael J. Fox?
Correct.
Man, I'm killing it.
Do you want to show these to the screen so they see them?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, this is Harry Potter.
Radcliffe, Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes. What is this?
Is it done?
He's on a show, some police detective show, and he's a rapper.
Ice-T?
Correct. Oh!
Okay, so that's how many. Let's see if it says how many you got. Gosh.
Exploded.
1. So you got 5.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
not going to know these names. If you would have said these to me, I would have not known to say these names.
All right, your turn. Okay, so we can turn. Yeah, there we go. Not from Georgia. The other one right there. The
Alabama?
state down. He's a rapper.
Louisiana?
He's a rapper,
Nelly.
and his name is a state, and he's like,
Florida.
yeah, but
Florida.
Yeah, thank you. Pass. I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's correct.
You have to go up. She's from Canada, and she's a singer, and she made it big back in the
Celine
day.
Dion.
No, like young, kind of a punk. She's kind of a
Oh,
punk.
man, what's her name? I know
Yeah.
her name. Oh, shoot.
I can't think of any of her songs, or I've just bust out in one.
Yeah. Pass.
Okay.
I know her name.
Actress, British. She's kind of like not actress, model, like the epitome of a model. And then Kanye West like talks about her in one of his songs.
I'm more about this.
Pass. Oh, you said her name earlier. The other Canadian.
Celine Dion.
Yeah. Cool. That worked out. Okay, funny guy. School of Rock.
Will Ferrell. No. Oh, shoot.
Not white, but
Black. Jack Black.
Okay, well, you most definitely won. Okay, guys, we are so excited about this giveaway. Tell everyone what you're going to give away.
I'm I'm going to give away a $1,000 program. It's called 7-Figure Webinars. I've had a ton of people go through this program, and they've made 6 and 7 figures in their business using webinars. So if you've got a product or a service and you want to learn how to sell more of them, then this is the program for you. It's going to teach you how to run a webinar, how to promote a webinar, how to sell on a webinar, and how to follow up from a webinar. So that's what it is.
So awesome. So go to thepursuit.tv/apply to enter to win, and then be sure and watch next week to see if you won. Thank you so much for letting us come today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I am Kelsey Humphreys, and this is Lewis House. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Pursuit.